No, I'm gonna give you a tier list of heroes you can actually carry with. With the tier list is gonna be based on carry potential rather than what is meta according to streamers. Okay, I consider tier lists to be for NPCs. Why? Because tier lists don't actually help the player understand anything about the game. They don't actually understand the people who do the tier list don't understand what makes a hero good or bad for the most part. They are tunnel visioning on their own games, etc., etc. That being said, what the tier list that I'm gonna do here today is going to be a tier list of carry potential. It means that it's very likely for you to win a lot of your games if you pick that hero because he has a lot of carry potential. And I'm also going to show you what heroes don't have carry potential. I know that some of them will be very surprising to you. You're going to be like, wow, how did you put that character there? I see every high elo player do that. I'm going to explain every single decision that I make. So I'm going to put it out there and I'm going to try to make it as educational as I can and give you the most valuable information for free. So let's begin. Let's begin with Doctor Strange. Before we put Doctor Strange in the tier list, right? I would like for you guys to look at the tweet that I just posted. So I'm gonna read it out really quick for everybody in the chat. Carrying games largely relies on exploiting enemies' lack of attention. Tanks, however, built as punching bags, drawing all eyes to them and thus having lower carry potential. This explains why the role is unpopular. When I say exploiting enemies' lack of attention, we're largely talking about off angles. The more you can off angle, the less people will pay attention to you. Rather, you'll be able to capitalize on people that are not paying attention to you because you're not in front of their screen. You're not in front of their monitor. And that is why tanks largely, no matter the game, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals, any game that you probably have ever played in the past 20 years, tanks was the least popular role simply because it felt like you can do the least on that role, which even in Marvel Rivals, where everything seems to be OP and abilities and ultimates are very strong, is still true compared to the rest of the cast. There's plenty you can do on DPS, there's plenty you can do on support, there's plenty you can do on tank, but still less than the counterparts, and that's why people don't like to play tank. So, we gave context to this, we're gonna go back to the tier list, and now, with the context of this, Strange, not going to be carry, but however, he's not going to be not consistent, he's going to be just reliable. Why? Because his abilities and damage are very, very good. So I'd like to give what my definition of carry, like how could I potentially say that someone can carry? Ability to off angle with high damage output and high uptime. It means he can stay fight for long, he can do a lot of damage on a long enough time frame, right? And he can actually survive and disengage. Strange can damage. Strange can somewhat off angle. He's still going to be frontlining a lot because of the shield. And he can disengage because large health pools and flight. And his ability to E, you can just burst down people when they don't pay attention. So he's fairly reliable, but it's not something you can just, you know, if I were to do a bronze to chip, I would not be able to pull 100% win rate. I can guarantee. So Strange is just reliable. He's one of the best tanks there are, and that's why he's reliable, which gives you spoilers to future tanks. Now, Hawkeye. Some of you will think, Hawkeye, you can one-shot, you can carry. I disagree because of two things. He's reliable. I would put him at not consistent, but I think that it's an unfair thing to say. Because he's reliable, and I'm going to explain to you why. His damage is great. The problem is that he has to charge the bow every single time, which means he cannot shoot and do a lot of damage for long periods of time because of number two. He doesn't have a movement ability. He can go to an off angle, which will take him long, but as soon as he's contested, he cannot easily get away. And now he's forced to take 1v1s that could perhaps be unfavorable matchups. Now, and that is why I would put him in non-consistent compared to reliable, but I kind of gave him like a boost. You know, I'll be fair. I mean, you can get away with playing Hawkeye at lower ranks until, let's say, Grandmaster, without facing any issues for the most part, if your off angles and positioning and constant uptime is correct. But as Grandmaster and above, I would say that he's not consistent, but I will still keep him reliable because that's fair. Adam, to carry with Adam, in my opinion, is very difficult. Why? Even though his damage is supposedly good, the problem with Adam is he cannot take reliable off angles because he has zero movement abilities. And because the hitbox of his shots are so small, it's also very difficult to hit the shots. Therefore, it's very difficult to do consistent damage from the off angle. So, if you go to the off angle somehow, without being contested, you shoot, right? Somebody looks at you, you either stop doing damage or you die. And that's a very, very big problem. That's why I put him at very difficult. I also think his abilities are not offensive whatsoever. So, you know, if you look at I don't want to talk about other characters, but let's look at, for example, Mantis, right? Mantis, for example, technically doesn't have movement ability besides the passive, but if you are contested, you have an offensive ability, which is the sleep. Therefore, it helps you get away if you need it, or it helps you even win the 1v1. Adam has none. He has the self-heal on that stuff, but you have to understand, characters do a lot of damage. So Adam just is pretty much left defenseless if he gets contested by a character with large damage output. So that is why I put him at very difficult. Now we're gonna put it Star-Lord. Star-Lord for me is interesting, because for me he's between carry and reliable. The reason why I put him at reliable is simply because his damage requires you to be close to the enemies, and his damage is not in short bursts like Hela, for example, which is next. You have to be fairly close to apply pressure, which puts you at inherent risk, right? And it's also very difficult to just mechanically track characters, because it's not like you hit with Hela, you can hit and like headshot and hit consistently, but with Star-Lord, in order to do the maximum damage, you have to hit all the 40 bullets. You need to stay close. It's very, very didn't you say you should be close to your enemies to land shots? Yes, but not one all the time, and two, not that close. Like Star-Lord, a lot of the times you'll be like very, very close. But and that is why he has these two dashes where he can take damage. So because he's very close, he compensates with the two abilities that basically avoid any damage. But his damage, while it's good, it's not it's not consistent enough. You can shoot, but if they heal, it's very difficult to get a kill. If people pay attention to you, it's very difficult to win the 1v1. And because it's also very easy to force him out a lot of times. So that's why I put him in Rabo, not carry. And now we're moving to Hela, carry. Straight up. Carry, large burst damage. You don't have to be super close to the enemy. You have an offensive ability, which is a stun. And most importantly, if you go to the off angle and somebody contests you, you click one button and you just fly away. And after you fly away, you can still do reliable damage, which, back to Star-Lord, when you disengage with Star-Lord, you can't really do damage after you disengage. I mean, you can, but it's not reliable for a kill. You have to kind of go back and close. With Hela, you fly away, you fly away, still in reliable damage that you don't have fall-off, that you can still do plenty of damage and get kills. So Hela is pretty damn good for carrying games. If you're interested in playing DPS that doesn't require a lot of abilities and a lot of combos, Hela is a pretty straightforward character, and that's what we do. Punisher. Punisher is going to be in the reliable or not consistent. The reason why I say not consistent is because Punisher is literally defenseless. That's his main problem. When you compare Punisher to Star-Lord, right? When you Star-Lord at the very least can disengage. If you get jumped on by Punisher, on Punisher, just die. I mean, yes, you can grapple out, not super reliable. Yes, you can do the smoke screen. Not great. So, because of his lack of mobility, I'm going to put him in non-consistent, but he's high non-consistent, which is basically bottom reliable. The shotgun, sure, it's alright. It's good against close-range heroes, but if you get targeted by more than one person, you're just dead most of the time. The disengage part is very difficult. Like, you have to be an exceptional Punisher player to make him reliable. You have to be exceptional to make him reliable. That's what I mean. Like, you have to understand off angles, and so for the vast majority of players, he's not consistent. For some players who are actually very good at him, he's reliable. Okay, so that's my take. And he pretty much dies to any character above in most matchup. Yeah, I don't include them with a team up, but with a team up, usually boost them half a point. You know, so like with a team up, Punisher will be instead of non-consistent reliable. Magic. My opinion, Magic is a very, very reliable character. That being said, in order to play Magic properly, it requires some level of skill. And the reason why I put in reliable is that after I've seen Chasm player, I don't know how many of you ever know Chasm or watch Chasm. I watch him. He had a Bronze to Eternity an account, and he was like 70 and 8, 70 and 9, something like that. I don't remember the score on top of my head. But Magic is very, very good after you like understand the baseline combo and you know how to use your cooldown correctly. It's so good capitalizing on enemy mistakes. And also she has three abilities to disengage properly. Usually you would use your dash, which is the uppercut, to engage, and you have two like this dimensional portals, whatever, to disengage. And Magic is super reliable, does a lot of damage, can combo somebody out and get out pretty safely. So I would say she's fairly reliable if you would like to pick her up. Moon Knight is a tough one. Moon Knight, I will put him in reliable. He definitely doesn't deserve to be carry, simply because he doesn't have great disengagement. The reason why I wouldn't put him in non-consistent is because the non-consistent, the thing with Moon Knight is that he always guarantees damage with the Ankh, especially at ranks below GM where people don't actually pay attention to what you're doing half the time. You're guaranteed to just do a bunch of damage if you just attack the enemies because it's spread apart. And most importantly, because he does a lot of damage and consistent damage, he builds his ult really, really quickly, right? And because he builds ult really quickly, it's very easy to get a kill with his ulti. With ulti and combo. So I would say he's fairly reliable. I wouldn't put him in non-consistent whatsoever. It's pretty damn good. He's a pretty damn good character, but he's not on like the tier list of Hela. He's not like, spoiler alert, Psylocke. Sorry for spoiling then one other thing. He's not versatile like that. Because you can definitely take off angles, but it's very difficult to disengage with the off angles because your disengage abilities are very, very slow. That's the main problem. Venom's gotta be carried. Venom is an interesting one. Venom is not carry because Venom does not do enough consistent damage to justify carry. That's the problem. Venom can capitalize on people that are by themselves. Venom can easily engage backlines. He has to easily... If you're a good Venom player, very rarely die. You can get in, get out. But the problem with getting in is that it's very difficult for you to get kills. Why? Because your damage is just not that high. So, for example, if you dive Luna and Mantis, you won't be able to get a kill. It's not because they have a freeze and a sleep. It's because if they just decide to heal each other, you cannot out-damage the healing. For example, with Strange, you can out-damage the healing with a burst. Because Strange has more damage than Venom. But what Venom has over Strange is the fact that it can easily access squishies and people who are by themselves. That's why I'm going to put him in reliable. He's one of the most reliable tanks in my opinion. He's one of the best tanks. Fairly reliable. Pretty good. And yeah. And by the way, these characters are for the most part for the vast majority of the player base. Everything is reliable. A lot of it will be reliable. But you'll be surprised. So, moving on. Iron Man. Iron Man is kind of a tricky one. Because Iron Man technically can off-angle, can disengage, has high damage output, right? He's pretty good across the board. He, in theory, is very reliable. You put him with Hulk, you put this guy with Hulk, he's carry. With Hulk, he's carry. Without Hulk, he's high reliable. He's way better than Venom, he's way better than Moon Knight, he's way better, I would say, than Star-Lord. He's better than Hawkeye. The problem as to why people don't play Iron Man a lot is because they lack the understanding of using natural cover in the sky. And up until GM, people literally don't pay attention to you when you're flying in the sky. But the problem with Iron Man and like below GM players with Iron Man is that while people don't pay attention to them, they just like fly above them where they don't have no natural cover, and then people shoot them and they die. They don't have the concept of understanding that, yes, buildings are very tall and you can use buildings to use natural cover. So I'm going to put him at low carry. Obviously, Hela can carry way more than Iron Man, but Iron Man is still reliable carry, especially with Hulk. I don't want to put him in reliable. I still put him at carry. He's very easy to deal with if you're like a good you know, like a good, like you have good awareness, but good awareness usually starts at Celestial, I would say. That's why I put him high reliable, low carry, but I want to put him low carry and carry category based because, you know, I want to diversify. We can't put everything reliable. Thor, guys. Thor's gonna be low carry, high reliable. Thor is somewhat low reliable, mid reliable. I would definitely not put him in carry. He's not a carry. The reason why he's not a carry is that he can easily capitalize on off people who off angle, right? I mean, based on your off angle, you're not frontlining. People are not gonna be paying attention to you because you're not frontlining. If you play Thor as a frontline tank like you would with Magneto or Strange, you're simply playing him wrong, right? That being said, the problem with Thor is that you need to have a really good cooldown cycles to make him work. The 3 hammers is sometimes very difficult to work with. His damage is okay, but it's not amazing. The only amazing damage that he has is when you click F, you know, where you become do the long range shots, the like incredible burst. The problem is that you can't cancel it. And once you engage the backline and use that ability to actually kill, everybody turns around because you're a big tank, and then you're kind of taking too much damage to the point that you either die or you have to be saved by your teammates. So there's some reliance on teammates. But if you could stop the form earlier and disengage and have a shortened cooldown because of it, he would be carry, no doubt. He would be amazing. Yeah, Awakening. Thank you for letting me know the term. His Awakening is how you carry. The problem is that you don't have your Awakening most of the time. And it's like the hammer damage is not consistent enough. His push ability is pretty good. Yeah, it's good, but not as good as his Awakening. It's very difficult to get a kill if you just push somebody to the side, because most of the time enemies going to be turning around or use abilities to simply get away from you. So that's why he's mid-reliable max, low reliable. Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl is going to be reliable. Reason being is that, number 1, offensive ability, you can just stun an enemy very reliably. Even if you miss it, it's not that big of a deal. You have an ability to simply jump to the freaking sky and avoid dives, avoid people pushing you. It's soup. And the shots, even if you just spam, you don't even have to off angle. Off angle, it becomes really, really strong with her. Why? Because if you get pushed, boom, you throw this low nut, they die. It's very difficult to push a Squirrel Girl in a 1v1 when she off angles. And even if you stand behind your team and you shoot, people just die. The damage is fairly reliable. It's huge burst damage. It's pretty insane. And the ultimate, while it breaks easily, in the middle of the team fight when the chaos begins. By the way, if you think that Squirrel Girl's ulti is bad, it's because you're using it at the wrong time. If you wait for the team fight to begin and the chaos to begin and use the ultimate, it very rarely breaks. It does a bunch of damage. It's a literal aimbot with the ulti, so it cannot miss. And combined with you shooting together with ultimate, it almost guarantees a kill. If you just use the ultimate the right time, I would say she's very, very good in terms of carry potential. Her only real weakness is that she doesn't, she doesn't have a good disengagement ability. The jump is okay, but it's not great. But because of high damage output, she can reliably take 1v1s, and together with the ability of the nut, where she stuns enemies, she can stun and get away, or she can stun and kill the person that is diving her. That's why I put her like mid reliable to high reliable. If she had better movement ability, I would even say she's carry ability, by the way. Raccoon. Raccoon is probably the most misunderstood character, right? Some people say he's S tier, some people say he's bad. Now, I might add some fire to that controversy and say that Raccoon, in terms of carrying potential, he's just bad. Guys, I'm sorry. He's just bad. I'll tell you why. Before you fucking raise your pitchforks, I see you. You're mad. The thing about when people try to justify Raccoon, they talk a lot about theory. Theoretically, you can do this, but in practice, I've never seen a Raccoon player carry a game. When have you ever seen, oh my god, this Raccoon carried? When have you ever seen in your life, oh my god, this Raccoon killed my backline, can't do anything? No, Raccoon puts this res, which anybody can do. He puts his ulti, which anybody can do, and most of them just sit at the back and pump heals. Raccoon is only good if you have a good team. Raccoon is only good if you have a good duo, usually Punisher or Bucky. Raccoon is very rarely will be able to single-handedly carry a game. Now, What works for Raccoon is the fact if you're a good Raccoon, you essentially becomes unkillable. But being unkillable does not matter if you can't kill the enemies. Can I show you a replay to change your mind? Trust me, I've watched many Raccoon players. He does tons of damage, but the problem with going for a lot of damage with Raccoon is two things. Is disengage ability, while it's somewhat reliable, it's not super amazing. And the problem with going for damage with Raccoon is that his healing is fairly reliable, that if you go for damage, your team will just die. Because they don't have the healing. You understand? They don't have the healing. You have to provide a lot of healing. You can't give up the healing on Raccoon. And that's why I put him in just bad. It's most Raccoon players, they very rarely have high win rates. If you see a Raccoon player with a high win rate, it's usually because he has a good duo. That's all. Spider-Man. There's so many people coming to my chat and say Spider-Man is OP. And I tell these people, you guys live in delusion. Spider-Man is, in my opinion, unarguably the worst DPS. The reason why I put him at the worst DPS, even with the team up, with the Venom team up, he's not that good. I would not even call him not consistent. He's very difficult to carry with. I was watching the other day, I remember I was watching Necros, right? I was watching Necros. He had like this bronze to GM or something, or bronze to Celestial, and was playing Spider-Man. And Necros is probably one of the best players in Spider-Man. He understands the techs, he understands the combos. But I play against Necros very often. And I have never lost to Necros in Spider-Man. Not a single time ever in my life I lost to Necros in Spider-Man. I low-key pray that he picks Spider-Man in my games because I know that will be a free win. And it's not because he's bad, it's because the character is bad. Spider-Man cannot do literally anything to 90% of the cast. You have, in order to get a kill on Spider-Man, you have to engage the perfect timing, and you have to hit every single ability in order to get a kill. And most of the time, even if you hit every single ability, you still don't get a kill. He's also very squishy. He can engage and disengage pretty reliably, but most of the time when he's trying to exchange blows, he usually loses the 1v1. Most of the 1v1s he loses even against support. So basically I was watching Necros losing gold, and even when he won in gold, which are like, compared to Necros, they're not good players whatsoever. He was still, in order to win games, he had to carry so hard. He had to finish like 45 eliminations in order to win a game on Spider-Man. You know? Moving on to Luna Snow. Guys, every single streamer that I've ever watched put Luna Snow in like in S tier, carry, Luna Snow, blah, blah, blah. Luna Snow, in terms of carry potential, is absolutely garbage. And that is why she's going to very difficult. I would usually put her at just bad, but because she does okay damage, I would not put her at just bad. She has good damage, but the problem with Luna Snow is that she can't off-angle because the burden of healing relies on you completely. With Luna Snow, if you decide to go to an off-angle, but for some reason, your team just dies. Why? Because you're the guy that heals the most. She has the most amount of healing. She has phenomenal healing. She keeps everybody alive, and that is why you can't just go to an off-angle. Luna Snow has zero movement ability. If you go to an off-angle and somebody finds you and decides to chase you, you're just dead. You have no defensive ability. The only thing you have is a snowball that is very difficult to hit. But even if you hit it, somebody can wake them up, and etc., etc. If you get caught in the off-angle, you have no ability to disengage, so you just die. Luna Snow is only good if you play with a good team and you play with a good duo. And the reason why streamers put her up so high is because, yes, Luna is very good when you have a really good team. That's the entire point. All Luna has to do is stay alive enough and just do these little claps and, you know, maybe win. The only thing that you can do in order to actually carry games is farm your ultis as quickly as possible. Make sure you don't die, and your shifts have to be pretty much on point, and that's how you maximize value compared to other Lunas. Jeff, the land shark, guys. I was against Jeff since I started playing. I started playing Jeff only about a few weeks ago, and you've seen me produce so much content on Jeff, and I fell in love with the character. Has such an amazing kit. I think he's so fun to play. Everything flows well. I did a bronze to GM with Jeff with 100% win rate, and every single game I was the MVP. I went 34-0, and I was 34 MVPs. So that puts Jeff at the carry. Jeff, even without Luna Snow, is at carry. Jeff with Luna Snow is as reliable as any other character you can think of in carry potential. Jeff can win 1v1s against literally every character you can think of. The only character that maybe beats Jeff in a 1v1 is Iron Fist, and that's a maybe. Good Jeff flares, they don't die. They create off angles very reliably. They can disengage. They have high damage outputs. They can pressure so many people at once without dying because of the hide and seek ability. That's amazing. He has self-sustain, so he doesn't rely on teammates whatsoever. You have 6 bubbles that you can use for yourself without dying. You don't even have to play around health packs. So based on carry potential, Jeff is amazing. Moving on to Mantis. My first bronze to GM 100% win rate. I'm a Mantis main since the beginning. Mantis is pretty much like Zenyatta in Overwatch, which is my main in Overwatch. I've made it to 1 above all in the first season. Since I started playing, I was starting to play a lot of PP and stuff. I was trying to experiment, but I quickly became in love with Mantis. And Mantis was my most played hero in order to reach 1 above all. Very, very high win rate. Mantis, across the board, has one of the highest carry potential in terms of supports. And now most of you are going to be like, oh my god, Luna Snow and very difficult and Mantis carry? Yes, because again, this doesn't revolve around high elo players playing it at their game, you know? It's not about healing or anything like that. If you want to take personal agency in your games and you want to carry your games, Mantis is your best option, one of your best options to support cast for a few reasons. Very consistent damage output, ability to off angle because of the passive movement speed, and even if you get caught, your damage output allows you to beat vast majority of the characters in a 1v1, and more importantly, you get pushed, use your sleep, you disengage, or the sleep helps you get 2 free shots in, which will help you beat the 1v1. Mantis reliably almost beats vast majority of the cast in a 1v1. She moves faster on the map. She has self-damage boost that increases her damage, and she can and the burden of healing is not there, so you don't have to stay behind your team in order to heal them, because all the requirement for you healing is simply clicking one button and just get healed up. With Luna, for example, you have to stay behind your team and constantly press this button in order to heal them. With Mantis, it's healing over time, so you don't have to stay behind your team. You're allowed to explore the map and do a bunch of off angles, and I think that Mantis is one of the most reliable ways to carry your games. So you can't judge a character on how good a top 500 player is. I actually do the other way around. It's not based on me being good with it. If I take the average player, for example, I'll explain this briefly. If I take the average player, let me just take random, let's say Burn Bacon 20, because since you're the one that said it. If I take you and I get you into Marvel Rivals and I decide to coach, and I coach you on Mantis, right? If I take you from the beginning and I tell you play Mantis, or I tell you to play Punisher, you will be able to reach GM way more consistently and way more reliably on Mantis than Punisher. That's what I'm telling you. That is why. That's what we're talking about, carry potential. Your ability to change the outcome of the game is so significant on Mantis than something, let's say, compared to Punisher. All right, moving on. Groot. Groot is a good character. That being said, Groot is only a good character if your team is good. I don't want to put him at very difficult, because that would be disingenuous to him, but I'll put him at not consistent. Groot, if you have good walls, you're great. Groot has good damage. The problem with Groot is he doesn't have reliable disengage ability. You're essentially frontlining 24/7. Groot cannot off angle. I mean, you can, but it's not going to work because you can't really get to the off angle fast, and more importantly, you can't disengage from the off angle, and that's a big problem. His damage output is actually pretty good, pretty reliable. So your ability to carry is your ability to isolate characters based on walls. He has a pretty good ultimate, but yeah, simply put, if your team is not that good, there's not much you can do to change the outcome. You can play well, you can definitely get high win rates, but I think that it's fairly difficult to do. I mean, you can isolate them, but you still need follow-up damage. So that don't need to say anything else. The thing is, it's a new character. As I explained at the beginning, tanks are not reliable for carrying games. Tanks are not amazing to carry games simply because they are punching bags. You can't off angle. They draw a lot of attention. And for the most part, they don't have a lot of damage, and that's why the only people you see in the reliable category in tanks are like things like Thor, Venom, and Strange. That these two can just get in and out pretty easily. They do fairly good damage, and Strange cannot get in and out very easily, but he has a lot of damage. That's why he's reliable. And I think does a lot of damage. The thing does nothing to any flying characters. The thing cannot deal with people who off angle. The thing is essentially again pretty much a frontline character. Yes, you can off angle, but the likelihood of you getting a kill on anybody is very low. He doesn't have very good damage. I would put him somewhere in between very difficult and not consistent. He's pretty much a punching bag that just try to form his ult and click Q and just hope for the best. If you see somebody at the back, it's very difficult to kill him. So I think that he's not difficult. But I mean, you can put him in inconsistent, but I would put him in very difficult. I think he's also reliant on his team to jump back out, which is a fair point. That's why I put him very difficult. I think he's one of the worst tank to carry with. He can be good if your team is good. In short. Psylocke, ladies and gentlemen. Psylocke is definitely going to the carry potential. Why is Psylocke going to the carry potential? As I explained, very high damage output, super consistent. You can get kills. You can capitalize on isolated enemies. You can capitalize on people like tanks even that are overextending because you can kill tanks, you can kill supports, you can kill DPS. You have the ability to off-angle pretty easily with your abilities. You can use one dash to go to the off-angle. You can use invisibility to go to the off-angle and sneak up. You have damage from short range. You have damage from mid-range. You actually have some damage from long range. The combo with the shurikens and damage is ridiculous. You do so much damage. You can burst down a tank to half HP in a matter of 2 seconds. Psylocke is in my opinion, is the most versatile character in the game. You can play her as a tank buster. You can play her as an assassin at the back, as a flanker. You can play her as something that the only thing that Psylocke can't really do is play like Hela sitting super far back. But even then, Hela shouldn't be sitting too far back, anyways. But yeah, that's the point. Or you can single-handedly take the entire lobby hostage with Psylocke. She's amazing. Mr. Fantastic, guys. No offense to any Mr. Fantastic player. He's just bad. He's just absolute garbage. Some people say, but like it's kind of a hybrid between a tank and a DPS. Guys, stop talking these like theoretical nonsense. He's a hybrid. Yeah, he doesn't do a tank's job and he doesn't do a DPS job, which means he's horrible across the board. He can't do jack shit. He cannot kill anybody. His damage is so bad, and it's not that his damage is low necessarily, like is low in a number. The amount of time that you take between the hits, like, haha, they get healed 500 million HP. Woohoo! Haha! Woohoo! The time between the hits is so long that can literally, between your shots, they can easily heal up the entire HP. Or they just simply disengage. The only thing that Mr. Fantastic does good is not dying. But you not dying means jack shit if you cannot get a kill. If you cannot get a kill in the game, it means nothing. Human Torch. The thing about Human Torch, in my experience, the short experience, and this is a very early ranking system because perhaps, like some people will find a good, reliable way to do something with him. Problem with the Human Torch is that he can off-angle, he can disengage fairly reliably. Because he's flying, can apply pressure from off-angles consistently. The problem is, in order for you to do consistent damage, you have to be very close to the enemies. His left click feels very unintuitive. It's very difficult to hit. And in order to hit the max damage output, you have to be very close to the enemies. Like, if you compare him to something like Iron Man, right? Iron Man can do a lot of damage from the sky from a fairly large distance. Human Torch can't do a lot of damage from big distance. When you sit in the sky and you shoot your left click, you barely do any damage. You basically tickle them. You might as well just stay AFK. Your ultimate is actually pretty good, but it's not amazing. It's okay. Human Torch is not, I wouldn't say very difficult because I think he's better than Luna, Spider-Man, Adam, and the Thing. I will put him in non-consistent. But maybe if somebody finds a super reliable, like a super good way to play, maybe he goes up to reliable, but I still don't think. I think he needs a buff. Yeah, okay. Now we're moving to Bucky. Ah, man. Bucky is very difficult for me. It's a very difficult character for me, and I'll explain why. Bucky's biggest problem is that he can't off-angle. He can a little bit, but because he doesn't have disengage abilities, he cannot off-angle. But he compensates for his lack of off-angles with literally every single other ability that he has. That's the thing, you know? Why do I need to off-angle if I could just hook somebody and grab him to my team? You know what I'm saying? So, Bucky, I would put him at high reliable, low carry. I know it might sound like a hot take. His ultimate is crazy. The fact that his ultimate gets reset every single time is just crazy. He has higher carry potential than all of this cast, for the most part. Yeah, all of this cast, actually. I think that the only one that can tie with him is magic. But in order for you to go toe-to-toe with him in magic, you would actually have to be an exceptional magic, but you don't have to be an exceptional Bucky. Maybe I should like the problem is that I know that so many people are gonna be upset with putting him at reliable, but like when I put him in high reliable, it's basically low carry. But I still think that any of these heroes are just way better. By the way, if you want to carry against, these heroes are just way better. So I'll put him here. I'll put him here. But he's just low carry, high reliable. All right, Magneto. As we have established, tanks are not amazing to carry. However, compared to other tanks and even other characters like Punisher, I think with Mag it's gonna be very difficult to carry our games. Magneto cannot off angle because he has no movement abilities. I mean, you can somewhat off angle, but the problem is if you get chased, you're very. It's when I say you cannot, I mean you cannot do it reliably, or you cannot simply just go to the backline, try to kill them, and get out safely. He has good damage. His ultimate is very good. That being said, he's in terms of carry potential and his ability to actually get solo kills on enemies is very, very low. The amount of pause in between the shots and the fact that it's a big projectile and he doesn't have like a big burst of damage like Doctor Strange, for example, makes him not consistent. He's below Strange, he's below Venom, and some people actually might call me crazy that he's below Thor, but I would argue the point that Thor can get significantly more solo kills and solo KOs compared to Magneto, because he can simply engage squishies more often. So yeah, Magneto is not reliable, not consistent, but he's definitely better than like the Thing or something, you know? Loki. I'm definitely putting him somewhat reliable and carry. Like my contemplation between the two, the carry and the reliable. The main issue that Loki has is that he needs to heal. You can't go off angle and flank for long periods of time. You can most definitely flank with Loki. But the problem is that you have a lot of the burden of healing is very, very big. And that is why you can't do it super constantly. You can't just go flank and off and go all the time. You can only do it at specific times, at specific moments, which mitigates your ability to get kills. He doesn't have movement ability, but he can be invisible and he can just swap with his clones. He has the lamp. His ulti is pretty good. Builds are pretty fast. He does very good damage with 3 clones. You can one-shot combo if you're good. I would put him somewhere like high reliable. I don't think he's scary, simply due to the fact that the burden of healing is too much. I would put him somewhere high reliable. If you're a good Loki player, you can most definitely carry your games reliably. I think that going 90% win rates from runs to GM on Loki is could be accomplished fairly reliably. I love when new people join get mega confused. Yeah, that's the point. The only people that are creating bad tier lists are the people that you're probably watching. Because my tier lists are based on carry potential across all ranks, not I want to have a Luna in my game when I'm one above all. Yeah, no shit. Of course I want to have that on my team. Namor. Okay, Namor. Let's go with Namor. Namor is carry, guys. Namor is the most cancerous hero to play against. If you're a melee hero, you cannot play against Namor. I mean, you can, but it's gonna be nearly impossible. It's just gonna be cancerous. Even if you're not a melee hero, it's gonna be fucking cancerous to play against this hero. With the Luna team up, it's cancerous. Without the Luna team up, he's cancerous. So let's talk about Namor and why he's good. Very high damage, the ability to off angle, the ability to disengage from the off angle reliably. With your bubble, you can disengage, get healed in your bubble, which is crazy. So while you're disengaged, you're 1 HP, boom, you quit bubble, everybody heals you. Amazing. He has so much damage, he can off angle, you can literally one-shot squishies with your squids. You go for a flank, team fight begins, you throw 2 squids, left click, right click, they're dead. It's over. You get, somebody turns around, flies to you, 3 people, flying with a bubble, you get healed. Goodbye, idiots. It's insane. This character is the most cancerous character to play against. Namor, guys, I'm starting propaganda. Namor needs to be deleted from the game. I hate Namor. You don't even need to headshot. Exactly. With headshots, it's actually insane. You can 2-tap anybody with a headshot. And sometimes you just throw a spear across the map and you get headshot. It's insane. What if they give Namor damage fall off? Even then, it's still be ridiculously strong. It doesn't matter. I actually would argue the point that you shouldn't play Namor from far away because it's very difficult to hit your shots from far away. That's why most of the time you're going to be sitting in an off angle and flank relatively close to the enemies. All right, moving to Penny. Penny Esther for sure. Now, Penny is definitely not carry. It's definitely not reliable. It's definitely not consistent. And the reason being is because she doesn't have a lot of damage. She's kind of pretty bad character outside of the mines, and if you have somewhat of an awareness, you're never gonna step on a mine. Ability to off angle is not fantastic. I mean, she actually, you know, I've seen Penny's off angle. She does pretty reliably off angle. You know, I've played against this Penny in one above all match, and she played this map, one of the spider maps, and she was just hanging on the roofs, throwing mines at people at the backline. Spider Islands. Yeah, she was sitting on the roofs, and throwing mines at people from the roofs, and it worked so well. And I think that's the best way to play Penny. But even then, I would not put her at something you can reliably carry with. I think that she's high, very difficult. Actually, could be not consistent. I would put her at higher than the thing. But I will put her not consistent because I think she's still better than like Luna or Spider-Man or the thing. But she's way worse than these, by the way. She's way worse than these characters. Let's put her here. Let's just put her here, you know? But let's put Captain America. Captain America, in my opinion, is one of the best tanks to rank up with. He basically, if you're good, you don't die. You can get in and out of off angles. You can get in and out of flanks. You can capitalize on vulnerable targets. He's pretty much very good across the board. He is Thor on steroids, pretty much. He can't kill. After the buffs, he's actually pretty okay. You maybe can't kill people that are like protecting each other, but the thing is, compared to Thor, is that they can't kill you as well. So basically, the way you play Thor is you constantly play this push and pull game. You engage and disengage, and the more you do it, eventually you're gonna find people that are low HP to the point that you can kill them. Yes, you cannot kill people that are full HP and getting healed, but when people are distracted and not paying attention in the middle of the fight, you can kill them pretty reliably without taking that much attention. So that's why I would put Cap. He doesn't deserve to be carry, but I think if you're a good Cap player, you can do way better. I think he's way better than half the people here. I think he's underrated because not a lot of people play him, because not a lot of people understand how to play him. Most people don't understand tank because they think the tank is like it's supposed to be constantly frontlining. And that's why tank players are just have a difficulty with tanks. So Hulk. I think that Hulk across the board, he's really, really good because his team-ups are really good as well. If you pick Hulk with Strange or you pick Hulk with Iron Man, you already set someone up to be very strong on your team. But I can't really bank on other people playing the characters, so that's why I don't want to consider other people playing these like Strange and Iron Man as carry potential, because I wouldn't be calling it fair. But I think that Hulk, in terms of tanks, he probably one of the best tanks to carry with. I wouldn't put him at carry because I don't think that tank players are gonna have a very difficult time to carry with. But he's very high reliable. He's somewhere up there with Cap. The thing about Hulk and Cap is that he dies faster than Cap. That's the thing, you know. He might do more damage over time than Cap. Ulting Hulk can shred, but he dies pretty quickly. His bubble is insane ability, yes, but his bubble breaks really quick. Cap shield means you cannot be frozen, you cannot be CC'd. That's the insane part about Cap. That's why Cap, in terms of like engaging and disengaging, not dying, is way more reliable, but Hulk across the board does more damage. So like somewhere around the same tier. All right, BP. BP is a really good character. So let's talk about the strength. Let's talk about the weaknesses of BP, which will lead to my decision. BP struggles against anyone that flies. In order to reliably get a kill, you have to hit every single ability, and that most of the time wouldn't even matter. Even with your ultimate, sometimes you will be able to get kills. You can pretty much get CC'd out of existence pretty fast. He suffers from many, many bugs that include no regs every time you hit a dash. And if you miss a dash, you're essentially as good as dead. You have to play BP very, very fundamentally sound in order to make him work. His strength that he can off-angle pretty reliably. He can capitalize on vulnerable isolated targets. He can distract and grab the attention away. You can most definitely carry an eternity with BP and all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But like if you compare him to anything else, it's kind of mess. So I'm going to put him in not consistent. If he just fixed the no-reg bug, he could be low reliable. But he's fairly not consistent. That's the problem. You either absolutely shred the enemy team, or you're 8 kills, 12 deaths. Something like that. There's no in between. And you have to play exceptionally well in order to literally carry a match single-handedly with bad teams. Iron Fist. Iron Fist is a very tough one. The problem with Iron Fist is that you will have so much downtime. You will go in for maybe 3 seconds, and then you'll get out to sit out of the fight for like 10 seconds. His ability to consistently do damage is very, very low. He can then get to the off angle very reliably. He can disengage very reliably with his kick, with his wall run, with his jumps. You can engage, disengage, capitalize on isolated targets, but the problem is your damage is not consistent. You go in, you get bursted down, and you have to get out, and then you have to sit out until your cooldowns are back. It's problematic. Now, they addressed this with the recent patch, where they lower the cooldown of the deflect, which can keep you engaged in the fight, but still, he doesn't do enough consistent damage to justify him being reliable. So I will put him in not consistent. You can be annoying, you can be a nuisance, but it's still going to be very difficult for you to actually get kills in solo queue. Moving on. Storm. Okay, like Storm undoubtedly just S tier. Like a carry potential is up there. You can off angle, you can disengage and engage. Your damage output is obnoxious. Even when you decide to play relatively close to reliably hit your shots, when you click your damage amplifying ability, people around you take damage every few seconds. It's just insane. Ulti, great. You can single-handedly pick Storm and just carry a match by herself. She's just amazing. All right, moving on to Black Widow. I actually think that Black Widow is not bad. That being said, do I think she's scary? Definitely not. Do I think she's reliable? No. No. She's kind of a super 50-50 character. If the enemies are really, really bad and none of them pay attention to you and you actually have somewhat of a good aim and you can hit shots, then yeah, you can win some matches. So Widow, she gets dove a lot. She's not resilient against dive. She can kind of disengage. She can kind of kick them, but she's not consistent in most. You have to hit every shot to make her count. It's very difficult to... I mean, you can off angle, but you have to stay very, very far away in order to not get dove. You lose pretty much any matchup in a 1v1. So I would put her like at not consistent at best. She's very low, not consistent. I would say very difficult. Wanda, aka Scarlet Witch. She has good damage across the board. Before the patch, her main issue is that the high burst of damage, which was the right click, is that it took too long to farm the right clicks with the left click. That was the main issue. The left click, while it's aimbot, it doesn't do enough damage over time. It's very difficult to get kills with your left click. You can only get kills on left people that don't pay attention to you for like 5 seconds. But the right click was amazing. It did fairly good damage. But now, with the patch, it's actually super, super easy to farm the right click, which does big bursts of damage. She has the ability to off angle. She has 2 abilities to disengage. When you click your shift, you can disengage. It's pretty reliable. The problem is it's not fast and it kind of shows where you go, which makes enemies chase you. You have to be pretty deliberate with your positioning. So good damage, good disengage abilities, good abilities to off angle, good abilities to reliably kill enemies. The main issue is that her ultimate is absolute garbage, probably one of the worst one in the game. So I would put her at reliable, low reliable, not super, like not close to carry, but reliable. If she would have had better ultimate, would have something to talk about. I think she's better than most characters here. Especially in meta ranks. In meta ranks, you can aimbot half the time. Like you can't miss shots. You can disengage with a click of a button. Pretty good. Cloak and Dagger. Every streamer S tier, S tier. Yes, I want to have Cloak and Dagger on my team when I'm carrying the match. But if I want to carry the match myself, I'm not gonna pick Cloak and Dagger. Why? Cloak and Dagger, very low damage. Ability to off angle. You can, but very short, because your disengage ability is not that great because they can see where you go, and also you move very slowly. So you click your cloak thing and you just get out. He's moving like a turtle. They chase you, you die. And the problem with Cloak and Dagger and why she's not very good to carry games with is simply because of the fact that the burden of healing, just like Luna, you can't decide to go do damage because your team will die because the person who heals them is Cloak and Dagger. So yeah, Cloak and Dagger is very difficult to carry with. Solo queue, very difficult. I think that the only advantage she has over Luna is because it is the ultimate. The ultimate allows you to actually shoot while you're ulting. Luna, when you're ulting, you can't shoot. Wolverine. I think Wolverine is the most overrated character in the game. Yes, he's annoying to tanks. He just grabs you to the team. Whatever. If you grab a tank to your team, or literally anybody for that matter, to your team, and your team doesn't follow up, that person doesn't die. You can grab a person once every like 12 seconds. What's the cooldown? That's pretty long. Pretty long cooldown, super unreliable. If your team doesn't follow up, you can't do jack shit. Your disengage abilities are kind of okay. You have to close the distance to get a kill, but even if you close this, you cannot get a kill. The only way for you to get a kill is to grab someone. Solo carry on Wolverine is extremely difficult. The only thing that is good about him is his ulti, but even then, it's still difficult to do anything. So he has no reliable damage. He can off angle. He requires the follow-up on your team to get a kill. And that's why I'm gonna put him in very difficult. Anybody can stun you. Everybody can pull you. Invisible Woman can just pull you out of the shift. The reason why I say Wolverine is overrated is that even in high elo, where people actually follow up on you, all you have to do is grab Invisible Woman, and you grab somebody. She puts the pull, and then you don't grab them again. That's it. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad character overall. I mean, it's good when you have a good team, but solo carry, very difficult to carry with. Invisible Woman. What do you guys? Okay, for the last one, I'd like you to join, Mr. Chat. What do you guys think about Invisible Woman and your ability to solo carry it? A lot of mixed opinion. So let's talk about the strength of Invisible Woman. Number one, very difficult to kill you. You can disengage pretty reliably with your jump. Even if you somehow mess up your jump, they continue chasing. You have an ability to push them away from you. So in terms of survivability, she's pretty damn good. Okay. The healing output is very, very strong. It's very easy to protect your teammates with the healing and the teammates and the push. So if your tank gets run over, you put a shield and you push them away. And you can heal them pretty fast. The ultimate is pretty damn good. The ability, the shift, does the decent amount of damage. The push and pull are pretty good. The pull specifically is amazing. Like the way to carry an Invisible Woman, I'm gonna put it out there. The way to carry an Invisible Woman is the pull ability. You see somebody overextends, you pull them to your team, and you kill them. She's basically like Wolverine that is more reliable, that has lower cooldown. So as we established with Wolverine grabs somebody, you have to close the distance, grab somebody, and push them to your team with Wolverine. Invisible Woman does that on a shorter cooldown, more reliably, and she doesn't have to close this, she can do it from far away. The shift negates flare, yeah, pretty much, yeah, as well. She can deal with flare, and she does decent damage. The problem with Invisible Woman is that the burden of healing is on you, therefore you cannot off-angle. But even if you could off-angle, because I mean, you could off-angle in theory, because you can disengage pretty reliably, but the problem is if Invisible Woman is not with a team, the team just dies. Because the burden of healing is on her because she has a lot of healing. And even if you could off, let's say you have Luna, Sloan, Cloak, and Dagger on your team, you decide to go Invisible Woman in theory. Yes, you go to an off angle. The problem is that the damage output is not high enough for you to reliably get kills. If they get healed, if they use an ability, they simply don't die. So your ability to solo carry with Invisible Woman is not amazing. And that's why I would put her at not consistent, because she's still better than any of her counterparts in support. By the way, it's very important for me to say, before I rearrange this list, it's very important for me to say, I rearranged this list based on like from left to right. Does that mean that you can't carry on these heroes when I say not consistent? No. You can carry. But the likelihood of you having 90% win rate, like even a player like me, who is a one above all player, if I decide to pick Invisible Woman and go try to do a bronze to GM, the likelihood of me having over 90% win rate is going to be unlikely. I will still win more than I lose significantly. I'll still be able to get from bronze to GM pretty easily, and bronze to Celestial fairly easily, but it would still be below something like Mantis, below something like Magic, etc., etc. I think this is fair. I think this is fair. So this is the end of the tier list, guys. I mean, some of you are disagree with, some of you disagree with. I mean, I kind of did it as fast as possible. Maybe if I kind of look back and really think into it, I would rearrange it a little bit differently in terms of like how they are based in their category. But in terms of carry, reliable, knockdowns, it's very difficult, just bad. These are just my opinion in terms of carry potential. If you want to carry your games, this is exactly what I would tell you to play. If you just want to rank up in the game as fast as possible, as reliable as possible, without relying on teams, on duo or queues, this is basically the tier list that I would choose. If you can prove me wrong somehow and grab any of these characters and have better win rates than I do on these characters, I wish you the best of luck. If you would like to see me carry on these characters, go to my YouTube channel. I have two channels, one that I upload pretty much daily. Second channel, it's called Too Awkward. Main channel, Awkward. You can find me anywhere. And we're going to see each other very, very soon in the Bronze to GM on Thor. That's the one that I'm going to do next. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys, even if you disagreed, as long as you respectfully disagree. Thank you guys for being here.